All right, today we are finishing our unit on the Texas regions. We have 4 total. Today is the 4th one, the Coastal Plains region. Key idea for today's lesson is I will know how the geography of the Coastal Plains region affects communities. Vocabulary terms you will see in today's lesson are inland, lignite, bayou, trading post, port, and mainland. So let's talk about the land in this region. This region does not have mountains or deserts like the mountains and basins region. The Coastal Plains region has a long coastline that faces the Gulf of Mexico. The Coastal Plains region stretches inland, or away from the coast toward land, for about 250 miles. The region has the piney woods, the coastal prairies, the South Texas Plain, the Post Oak Belt, and the Blackland Prairie. The climate is not the same throughout the region. There is more rain along the coast and in the north. The Piney Woods gets the most rain with about 50 inches per year. The South Texas Plain gets the least rain, about 20 to 30 inches per year. Still, the Coastal Plains region gets more rain than the other 3 geographic regions of Texas. Temperatures are generally warm in this region all year. So let's talk about comparing geographic regions. The Gulf of Mexico helps define the Coastal Plains region of Texas and the larger geographic region known as the Gulf Coastal Plains. The Gulf Coastal Plains stretches all the way from Florida to Mexico. This geographic region has a climate that is hot with a lot of rain. The plant life, soil, and natural resources are similar throughout the region. Here is a map that has a diagram of this area we are talking about, this region of Texas. The Coastal Plains is everything in Texas here but the green area, right? Those are the other regions of Texas we've talked about previously. For the Coastal Plains, we're referring to this dark orange, the light orange, these 2 different purples, and also the pink. So these purple areas, I've got the Blackland Prairie and the Post Oak Belt. In pink, I have the Piney Woods area. This lighter orange, I've got the coastal prairies, and then the darker orange is the South Texas Plain. The Blackland Prairie gets its name from the rich, dark soil, which is good for farming crops and raising livestock. Grains and cotton are grown here. The Post Oak Belt is named for the post oak tree that grows there. There are many farms and also mines for lignite, a type of soft coal. Oil and gas are also found here. People adapt to the environment by using these natural resources for energy production. People need the energy to meet their basic needs. For example, heating oil can keep their homes warm, and electricity can keep their food from spoiling. East of the Post Oak Belt is the Piney Woods area. The Piney Woods gets about 40 to 50 inches of rain per year. As the name suggests, there are many pine trees, but the vegetation also includes many other trees, such as the southern red oak, water oak, red maple, white ash, sweet gum, and red mulberry. With so many different types of trees, it should not be surprising that the lumber industry is important and provides jobs for many people in that area. Here is a picture from the text showing some coal being mined in the Post Oak Belt, which is burned to create electricity. South of the Piney Woods are the coastal prairies. This is where most of Texas's major rivers empty into the Gulf of Mexico. This marshy area has bays and slow-moving streams called bayous. Fishing and shipping are important industries here. Farther inland, the land is flat and fertile. It is good for ranching and for raising crops, such as cotton and sorghum. Oil is an important industry as well. Oil wells don't stop at the coast, however. There are oil rigs on platforms in the Gulf of Mexico. Before we keep moving on, here's a picture of a bayou that we were talking about earlier. Bayous support lush vegetation and abundant wildlife. The South Texas Plain, made up of the lower Rio Grande Valley and the Rio Grande Plain, is drier than the other areas in this geographic region. Much of the land is covered with thorny brush. Many large cattle ranches, such as the famous King Ranch, no relation to me, are found here. Since the South Texas Plain is dry, farmers need to modify the environment in order to farm. They use irrigation to get water from the Rio Grande and use it to water their crops. The soil is rich and the weather is mild. This ideal combination is one reason Texas is a top vegetable producing state in the country. Here is a picture from Houston, Texas. We're about to talk about some of the major cities in this region. Houston happens to be the largest city in Texas. Austin is the state capital. Many people in Austin have government jobs. Like all cities, there are many different jobs, but a lot of people work in education or the computer industry. People come to San Antonio to visit the Alamo and to enjoy the famous Riverwalk. People can learn about Texas and its people at the Institute of Texan Cultures. Government, medical research, and tourism all offer jobs to the people of San Antonio. Dallas began in 1841 as a trading post, or a small frontier store. People traded local crops or products for the supplies they needed. Today, Dallas is a leading business center. Houston is a port city on the Gulf of Mexico. A port is a place where ships can dock to load or unload cargo. The Port of Houston is a major center for trade with foreign countries. Houston is famous for its aerospace industry. It is home to the Johnson Space Center. The Texas Medical Center is also found here. Some other large cities in the Coastal Plains region are Longview, Galveston, Brownsville, Laredo, Bryan, College Station, and Waco. Here's an image from Padre Island. Padre Island has the longest beach in the United States. Padre Island is a barrier island and a natural landmark in the Coastal Plains region. Padre Island protects the mainland from the full force of hurricanes and tropical storms in the Gulf of Mexico. The mainland is the main part of the continent. Padre Island is about 110 miles long and up to 3 miles wide in places. It runs along the south coast of Texas. It has the longest sand beach in the United States. Most of the island's beachfront is now part of the Padre Island National Seashore. Before we end today's lesson, I wanted to include this in our lesson video also. A quick review, since we're ending this unit, and we have a quiz. Not very long today, but to check our knowledge on Texas regions before we move on to something else. So let's review these major Texas regions that we've talked about, including the one today. Number 1, this reddish color right here, is the Mountains and Basins region. Number 2, in yellow, would be the Great Plains region of Texas. Number 3 is the Central Plains. And number 4 is the Coastal Plains region that we just talked about today in today's lesson. Let's see if we can answer all 4 of these questions. Which of the 4 regions is driest or has the least amount of annual rainfall? You should hopefully remember from previous lessons that would be the Mountains and Basins region, right? Lots of dry desert area, cacti. That's where you'd likely find the driest region of Texas. So that is the Mountains and Basins region. Which region generally has the lowest elevation? Well, if you remember from previous lessons too, the closer you get to the coast, where we have the Gulf of Mexico, the closer you are to the sea, the closer you are to that surface sea level elevation. So the lowest elevation generally would be along the coast. In this case, that is our Coastal Plains region. Which region are we located in? We actually talked about that yesterday. It would be number 3, the Central Plains. And where would you be most likely to find lots of grasses or grassland? We talked about that specifically the day we did that lesson on the Great Plains, number 2, the yellow.